and gentlemen, and welcome to the UK League Championship. My name is Jake Hitbrain Matthews. I'm getting Cupid's arrow shot at me, and I am in love with Dan Orks Harrison. How are you doing, mate?
I'm flattered.
You're flattered. That's a no if ever I've heard one.
I mean, the dancing was nice. You did.
Dancing was lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should do some more later. Are you free tonight?
Well, actually, I'm not free tonight because we have 4 matches coming up tonight. As first of all, we've got XL taking on Diabolus, and then after that, we have Fnatic taking on M&M. So pretty exciting games, and the winner of those will then go up, face off against each other, and then the winner of that game will take on Enclave, the team who stand at the top of the tower, the guardians of the tower who are looking to remain at that top. Now, if you missed any of the action yesterday, you can head over to our YouTube at LVP UK, and you can catch up on all of yesterday's games and VODs and all of the goodies.
Yeah, you can check it out over there, have fun, you know, watch through it. We're not going to do the slow-mo thing.
No, we're not. Maybe we'll work on our speed-up routine for next time.
Yeah, that'd be good. It'd be quite tricky, though.
Well,
I mean, you went pretty fast when you were dancing there.
Yeah, I know. We kind of sonicked our way in there. Pretty exciting. But we also do have a Twitter, LVP UK, as well, where you can go catch up on all of the other goodies we do tweet out, mainly champion quotes.
Yeah, love them.
Actually,
love them. Can't get enough of them.
But Cupid is standing in the corner himself. Scoundrel, how are you doing today, mate?
Very well. I have lost my arrow as I fired it at you. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to UK. Oh, thank you, Dan. Oh, I can't catch. Welcome to UKLC Valentine's night. If you have a Twitter crush, and if it is EU's twisted fate, make sure you tweet with hashtag UKLC because we want to hear all about it. Remember your Valentine's photos. I'm talking about you, Dom Sacco. Thank you for that Valentine's photo. That is what we want to see. So it's UKLC Valentines. It is a Valentine's night tonight. So Twitch chat, I know you will love each other. So make sure you spread the love in Twitch chat, and I'll just fire the arrow towards you, and I hopefully won't ruin the camera I missed. Right, let's talk a little bit about the format, because we have a very, very cool format here at the UKLC. We have already had our round of 8, which took place yesterday, and it was 4 best of ones, which then put all of our winners into a draw. We drew the spheres yesterday, including the names of all of the teams that qualified, and we put them into the semi-final brackets, as you can see. So today we are going to have Diabolus versus XL as our first best of one, Fnatic versus M&M as our second best of one. Our third best of one of the night will be the final between the winners of those two, and the winner of that is going to go on to the Challenger game, which will take on Enclave at the top of the tower. If they win, they become the tower champion, and Enclave will take all of their remaining fixtures for the rest of the season, unless they then become the champion again themselves. If Enclave win, they then have to redefend their title next Wednesday, first game of the day. Right, gentlemen, back to you.
Firing out some serious force then. My rose is broken, so.
Oh, not very romantic.
I mean, it only cost $1.99, so it was meant to light up and it didn't even light up.
You only spent $1.99 on me.
I spent it on me. I'm treating myself. But we do, I'm sorry to break your heart, but other hearts will be broken today.
There's still arrows, like, we should stop this. It's getting dangerous.
Them constantly. But don't worry, because we do have more games coming up. We have all our games coming up today. First of all, it's going to be Diabolus taking on Enclave, and they are very much in love. Hopefully, Scoundrel will be ready to break down those teams in just a second. But at the moment,
Diabolus versus Enclave. It's Diabolus versus XL.
Diabolus versus XL. Sorry, Enclave. Maybe I'm making predictions into the future.
Ooh,
bold one. We'll have to find out. I mean, Diabolus did look very good, but Scoundrel, how are you feeling about these teams?
Well, I recovered my arrow. I'm going to try again.
Oh, that was pretty close that time.
It was close. This thing is not a very good bow. I mean, how does Cupid get any work done? I caught it that time. Yes, we've got Diabolus taking on XL tonight. We saw plenty of action from these two yesterday. We're going to start with the roster of XL, I believe. So we'll have a look at these guys and talk a little bit about their individual qualities. We have Sendo in the top lane, didn't exactly have the best performance yesterday. He was struggling a little bit, but Taxa, Exile, Inax, and Mystiques all had great games, especially Inax and Mystiques in the bot lane. Inax on Lucian looked incredible, with Mystiques playing his classic Thresh. He saw really, really good success across that game they had. So XL are looking fired up and ready to go. Let's talk a little bit about their opposition, Diabolus, who I think a lot of people rated pretty highly coming into the UKLC. And we'll talk a little bit about them. Kerberos in the top lane actually had a rough early laning phase, and then he did end up going on to be an incredible performer in this particular game. Monkeys, Krogston, Yusa, and Haddo. Yusa looked really, really good, and Haddo was able to support him there. Krogston and Monkeys did their jobs incredibly well too, but Kerberos was the standout performer with those teleport plays that were coming out really well. And honestly, I think this is going to be a really close game between both XL and Diabolus. I couldn't really call it either way, but for the moment, I think XL, maybe if they can keep that top side of the map under control, are probably looking stronger elsewhere across the map, but it is going to be an incredibly close game, guys. I think we're going back to Dan and Jake in just a second. They are standing by. There we go.
We are indeed. Yep. Yeah, no, I'm pretty excited about this game because I think Diabolus as a team did look very convincing in their win yesterday. I think XL definitely was a little bit more rocky, a little bit more shaky.
I think considering the caliber of a team like XL, it came very much down to some highlight plays from Mystiques and Inax in particular.
Yes.
And I think when you are aspiring to be one of the top 2 teams in the league, I don't think it should have to come down to making big plays for you to... Right.
We're literally not even into first game yet, and it's Scoundrels rummaging around in our cupboards.
That's what you call it.
Yeah, I don't always looking for, but
I mean, my point's been lost.
Well, yeah. So carry on. Talk to us. Mystiques, Inax looking very strong.
No, they look strong, but I think you shouldn't have to win when you're trying to establish yourself as a top team in the league, which XL UK are, and to rely on big plays to win is a bit. You know, I feel like this game, I do still think XL are the favorites, but I think that it's going to be a complete bloodbath, and. Yeah, it's definitely going to get messy. Whereas I think Fnatic style and M&M style was a lot more clean cut and playing to their win condition.
Yes.
I think this might be a bit more messy and fun, I guess.
I think one of the other things that you do kind of want to hit on is XL look very confident and comfortable slotting into this XL roster. And obviously, as a fluid roster, as these 10-man fluid rosters, they've been able to kind of practice and scrim together for a little while now, but he did just slot in pretty confidently in with that roster. Maybe it was they didn't feel particularly challenged in that game, which I think is maybe a fair statement to make, but I feel like Diabolus are a team that will challenge them all the way. I mean, this is another one of our top 4 teams we had pegged coming into the season, and I don't feel like XR is just going to get a kind of free laning phase this time.
Yeah, and I think as well, Kerberos looked really good. I mean, he got the MVP on Diabolus, and Sendo, we'd had concerns about him in 4G Champions about his performance, and I don't think he put those concerns to bed this time around.
Well, have a little talk to us about some of these kind of top plays from yesterday's games.
So, I mean, once again, this is a sort of situation where XL start off a play, and then crucially it comes down to some big plays. XL creates so much space off to the side, and then it's good work from Sendo to buy time, but again, this is just them outplaying, feeling on a mechanical level to win this team fight. It shouldn't come down to this when you're pegged to be the better team. Again, Inax making a big play coming at the end and cleaning it up, but I just feel like it was way too hit or miss throughout for XL, and it wasn't the sort of consistent, clean performance we saw from other teams like Diabolus or like Fnatic, who I guess are other touted top teams in the league.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just magicked myself next to you. Over here, Dan, and I'm trying to shed the remainder of my costume because it's actually a little bit...
Dressing down a little bit?
Yeah, just dressing down a little bit here. Oh, I've got my wings caught on my microphone. Ah, Dan, I've got you a present.
Thank you. Well,
oh,
appreciate
that's
it.
not a very nice Valentine's thing to do. I thought we had something special. You tweeted out a really lovely picture of us, like frolicking outside while your girlfriend Squidward looked from the outside of her.
Not sure she'll appreciate that comparison, but I mean, I'm the one who made it.
I mean, you're the one that made it. I'm just repeating what I saw on Twitter.
I mean, what I've noticed is that as you get older, I can relate a lot more with Squidward.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I'm less SpongeBob, less Patrick. I mean, you labelled me as Patrick, which I suppose I can take.
Would you rather be SpongeBob or Patrick?
Difficult one to
I gave you
answer.
Patrick because he's taller, and that was the. I mean,
it's true. SpongeBob is literally a square.
Yeah. Are you seeing that?
I mean, you label yourself as SpongeBob. I'm not gonna.
Well, thank you.
Right, we are jumping into the game as quickly as we physically can. We should have Champion Select underway pretty shortly. But let's talk a little bit about Diabolus versus XL, because we saw a little bit from these guys yesterday. And like you said, Diabolus looked really clean. XL, maybe on the top half of the map, struggled a little bit.
Yeah.
It was only that small mishap that Kerberos had versus Artorias in lane that kind of put Diabolus on the wrong foot, but they regained control really quickly, and their mid-game presence was super strong. What do you think is going to be the defining factors here between these two?
I think for Diabolus, a clean top side is definitely going to put them ahead. I think for XL, they need to rectify the issues I had yesterday with Sendo, and then just facilitate that bottom mid, because XL looked really strong when he was in a position to carry, and in Mystiques, they just were flawless in the performance. So I want to see them have a good bot lane matchup and play to dominate lane against Juice and Hado.
Composition-wise, we saw some interesting stuff from XL. I actually think Diabolus had a really solid composition that really didn't have that many glaring weaknesses. XL, they ran with something like the, I think it was the Silas mid, which it felt a little bit hit or miss for me, and XL really only came on a little bit later on into the game when they got those teamfight big ultimates, stealing off Cassiopeia time and time again. We're into the draft phase, by the way. You can see a couple of bans coming through. Nothing out of the ordinary here, as far as I can see.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that we see the Ezreal ban come out. I think Diabolus are aware of the fact that NX and Mystiques are a threat, and they don't want to give over any advantages to their bot lane. So with Lucian taking off the cards, they're like, okay, that's fine, but we're taking Ezreal as well, which just sort of moved the tiers down in terms of AD carry. Kai'Sa's sort of the top, but she's not really got as much lane presence as the other two. I think Urgot's definitely going to be a big priority for Diabolus, because Kerberos had a great performance on that. And that begs the question is, what will Sendo play into the Urgot? We have seen Urgot Sion so many times, but and Sion is something that in the late game is going to be a massive presence, so I think you're fine to put him on that and then put more carry weight on the rest of your team. Kerberos has come out with the Urgot. I would take Sion in this rotation, not necessarily now, and then I guess you could look towards securing a good AD carry or a jungler. It's interesting to see the Camille hovered, because we didn't actually see very much of it yesterday at all, and it's still in this patch. On 9.2 that she is useful in the jungle. Next patch she's been nerfed, so it's surprising we didn't see much of it at all. But we do see the Sion, so once again, get that riveting matchup. The
riveting matchup, but this is a matchup that you should be able to survive as Sendo, and it's one of those things that you shouldn't give away too much in that laning phase. You mentioned Kai'Sa being at the top of the AD carry pile, with some of the ones being banned, with Lucian and Ezreal off the table. And actually, there's going to be the response that we see here, which was the exact response that we saw in the Barrage and Diabolus. It was Diabolus Barrage game where Yusa played this into Nutri's Kai'Sa and had a really, really good time with it. And it's going to be the Thresh also for Hado. Actually, the exact bot lane matchup that they actually ran, and this is a very similar draft for Diabolus here. Everything that they had previously against Barrage, they have brought to the table again. XL have altered slightly.
Yeah, so I think they've made the quick alteration that they want to match this bot lane. Obviously, Lucian's been taken off the table, Thresh has been taken away, so they can't cover that powerful bot lane again. But they've ensured in the first rotation, they picked up a good support for Mystiques, the Alistair, before things got banned away. So this is a very even sort of trade-off between the teams. You know, XL got the priority on AD carries, Diabolus got the priority on top laner and support, but they both just picked the same roles. So now, bans will be tentative. You want to take away stuff that specifically you don't want them playing, but not something that you're worried about anyone playing. And it's interesting, a fact that we haven't talked about is that the Urgot can be a flex. The Sion can, but I think it's less effective. And so we've seen the Aurelia and the Yorick, both pretty adept split pushers. That's one thing with the change to Aurelia, she's not very good in the mid lane anymore. But as a top lane split pusher into tank, she's quite effective. So I think that's what XL are worried about. And then on the other side, Diabolus, the Zoe and the Silas are champions that XL could definitely pop off on. Yeah, absolutely. We haven't seen the jungler from XL, and I guess we're expecting the mid laner here. Interestingly, that they actually go for the Yorick and the Irelia ban. I mean, I don't know about the Yorick. Is this something that Kerberos is known for playing? It's made a resurgence recently. Particularly, it was effective into Frostmancer things, but it's just his damage is so high with the recent changes he had, which were mostly quality of life fixes. He just has a significant amount of damage, and into a lot of matchups, he's essentially the new go-to split pusher. Yeah, okay. So I think that's why they took him off the cards, and then. So they may be predicting an Urgot switch to the mid then, potentially. Yeah, I think that's where they were thinking if Urgot goes mid and then Kerberos plays something like Aurelia or the Yorick top, it could be a problem for Sendo, especially when he had a shaky game yesterday. There's still flex here. There still is flex here. Yeah, Kerberos definitely plays Vlad in the top lane. It is actually a champion he likes to play a lot, and it's something Krogson plays a lot in the mid lane, so they still have that flexibility. And this was banned by Barrage against them yesterday. They had that Vladimir taken off the table by Barrage yesterday. So yeah, I like the adaptation, so they still have the flexibility. And it means XL, yes, they in theory have the counter pick here, but because it's the flex, they can't guarantee a matchup. And I think Urgot and Vlad are both fine into Sion. I think Vlad, It's a bit weaker because you lose the shove quite hard, but you're just going to scale up into a powerful Vlad anyway.
So we'll wait for the final pick from XL here. What do you think is something that we'll see them actually fit into this composition? You likely want something that's going to do well in either matchup, but it's difficult to find something that slots into both of those matchups easily enough.
I mean, I don't even have a chance to say it. Rise is pretty good because you can play at top as well. I doubt they will. They'll probably put him mid, but he's fine into a lot of matchups because he is a champion that's so flexible and does fairly well. You do fine into the Vlad early because you can shove it in. And into the Urgot, as long as the Urgot doesn't manage to get on top of him, he's going to be okay too. So there will be some back and forth switching, I think.
Well, 20 seconds is the cutoff.
Is the cutoff, yeah.
Yeah, they're just going to switch it as much as they're trying to match those lanes as much as they can. I wonder whether this is sort of where they're going to stick. If I were XL, I would imagine that I would be giving Sendu the Scion in most scenarios.
Yeah, I'd want Exile on the Rise mid up against the Vladimir. So they've switched that. I think that was within the 20 seconds, but I think that's where it's ending.
Yeah, I think I need to double check. But I think we were going to look at it like it won't be switching anymore from this point onwards. Sendo is going to have the Scion into Kerberos' Vladimir, which we said is something that Kerberos likes to flex into the top lane, and we're going to see Exile running with the Rise in the mid lane into the Urgot. What do you make of those two matchups? Because it was the flexing back and forth.
Yeah, I think Rise is okay into the Urgot as long as you don't get ganked. I think that's a vulnerability. If the Urgot gets on top of you and flips you, it's very easy to set up and follow up on the gank. Otherwise, you're going to be fairly fine just farming the wave and scaling. I think on the other side, the Vlad is going to be fine scaling into the Scion. The only issue is you probably aren't ever going to kill him, but then also the Scion will have lane priority in the top lane.
We got LVP UK on Twitter, and we have a tweet from Greyheart, who is a caster, actually, play-by-play caster, I believe. Best of luck to all involved with the UKLC today over LVP, especially the awesome casting team and their amazing production unit.
Awesome
that's really nice. I can see Borja's heart swelling with joy in the production unit over there. They've all done a really good job. This is a brand new show in a brand new studio with lots of new equipment to put to the test, so everything is still in the sort of kind of like making sure we get everything in the right mode phase.
I mean, so far, no cameras are falling from the ceiling.
Yeah, no cameras are falling off the ceiling.
It's only the sound installation.
We did lose the remote for this TV, which is why you saw me float on the screen earlier looking for the remote.
Hey, we sorted it out. Plus, you made a nice little appearance.
I did.
In your costume.
I thought I played that off like you would never have known I was there. I just float on with my camera. I could have been real Cupid, you know?
Yeah.
No?
I think people might have clocked onto it.
Well, I thought I was being sneaky. Right, so let's talk about these win conditions, the compositions that you can see. We've got the Vladimir and is it Nidalee they picked in the end there? No, Lee Sin. Vladimir, Lee Sin, yep. Urgot, Thresh, and Xayah on the side of Diabolus. Yep. And then we've got the Scion, Olaf, Rise, Kai'Sa, and Alistair for XL. So what do we make of these win conditions?
I think XL is going to prefer fighting front to back. You know, there's a lot more potential to get backline access with the Vladimir. I think if you do find that backline access and the squishy targets for Diabolus in the late game, they're going to come out of team fights better. But on the most part, the teams are fairly even in terms of scaling, so it just comes down to what the junglers can do in the early game to apply pressure. And later on, it comes down to can Diabolus get access onto the Rise, onto the Kai'Sa, or if it's going front to back, I think it's pretty hard to cut through both the Scion and the Olaf, but it really comes down to how well players play. It's quite evenly matched compositions on the most part. I'm looking at Kerberos in this game on his Vladimir as being a really influential figure in these team fights for Diabolus. I mean, that's a crucial thing. If you get on the Rise and you ult with a fully charged E and just put a load of damage down, it doesn't even matter what happens after that. It just does so much damage, it's going to make things tricky.
We do have an interview, by the way, before at the beginning of the game. We'll get to it. I believe it's with the Fnatic coach. Going to be talking about their team and their game coming up towards the next series, and he'll also maybe give his opinions on what he's seen so far in this particular game. We'll give him a bit of a grilling when we get in there, and we'll have to see how he's preparing for his matchup with M&M, which should be really exciting as well, just after this best of one, because remember, the winner of this will take on the winner of Fnatic and M&M as well, and then eventually going on to face Enclave at the top of the tower.
Yeah, I mean, that's the crucial thing, is that the teams, we got a little funky overlay thing. These are the teams, we're back. The teams who aren't playing right now, as in Fnatic and M&M, they will be watching this game. They'll be looking, right, if we win, these are our next opponents, so we have to understand what we're going to do against them as well. So any weaknesses exposed in this game should be exploited in Game 3 of tonight.
Yeah, and both teams are going to have a chance to see exactly what happens across these games. This is what we were looking for just a second ago. The roster of Kerberos, Monkeys, Croxen, Yusa, and Hado moving on to XL, Sendo, Taxa, Exile, Inax, and Mystiques. And you can see the guys looking very prepared. They're very, very serious in their shots of the roster as we jump onto Summoner's Rift for our first game of the night, the first semi-final of the UKLC, and it will be XL UK taking on Diabolus for that spot in the final.
Yep, and we open up to a very standard start. People just covering the entrances to the jungle. I think a crucial thing I'm going to be watching out for is the cowbell.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, it's those pixel bush coverings, because I think Lee and Olaf are both junglers who want to be a bit aggressive in the early levels.
Ooh.
Monkeys doesn't quite clear that ward. Try to get the attack speed from his Sonic Wave and passive.
I think you can do it with the E, but I don't know if you can do it because of the animation time on the Q.
Yeah, I think the animation's a bit too long.
Yeah.
Good effort though. He did go for it. What I'm expecting is Taxa to go for a 3-buff red side. I mean, a 3-camp red side start. So what that means is he'll clear all 3 camps on the red side of his jungle. He then recalls to pick up his boots, and that means he has access to the Predator and head towards his blue side to clear. I think a crucial thing is to make sure your blue buff doesn't get stolen away, and that's why you see Mystiques just walking away from the river, where he's placed a ward down to cover his blue buff. So it looks like Taxa is going to start off with that. He's starting on the rafters, and then he'll no doubt head up to his red buff and then to his Krogs, and we'll see him recalls. So it's up to Monkeys to see if he can find any opportunities before then. But I think you're going to struggle to gank top or mid lane in that time, especially as a level 2 Lee Sin.
You need to be a little bit careful in your jungle as Taxa, because you do generally tend to like to go low as Olaf to get that attack speed increase. That's where Lee Sin might look to strike. So vision coverage of those jungle entrances are going to be super important for Taxa. So let's say he backs on that first rotation, goes and gets his blue side. What do you think? Where do you think he looks to impact? Has he got any good gank lanes that he can go to? Because I'd be looking maybe towards mid or bot. Especially with the Alistair combo?
I think bot's a good one, especially if you look at how Diabolus' bot lane are pushing in. Once you picked up your Predator, you can essentially just run them down in the longer lane. Mid's a bit risky, because it's such an open lane with both sides. You're exposed if there's a counter gank. And as well, Urgot tends to be pretty effective, as he can survive for a long time with his Purge Shield. So I'd be inclined to go towards bot, but I guess you have the freedom of both choices. You have seen he has now recalled and picked up his boots. You can see on a nice scoreboard, which we have featured from the start of today.
Featured from the start, the scoreboard. It doesn't go away at all today. We're treating you guys in Twitch chat with the scoreboard this time round.
Yeah, so you can see all the players, CS numbers, all the items, beautiful stuff. It's amazing they managed to come up with this in just one game. That's what it took them to work it out.
I know. Love it when the scoreboard is here from the start. And Exile here just pushing in Croxen in the mid lane. Doesn't look like Olaf is head down towards his own blue buff, actually looking to go for the Rift Scuttler on the top side of the map. And there is no vision right now for Monkeys praying his way around that blue side jungle. We've got the interview coming up, by the way, with the head coach of Fnatic. I think we can hear you. Fnatic Rising coach is on the line.
Hello, guys.
Hi, yes. You can hear you. I can hear you. Yes, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, really well.
Good.
I just want to sort of, I guess, probe your opinion on this matchup here. What do you make of these? Have you seen the 2 compositions that are on stream right now?
Yeah, I'm seeing it right now. I'm actually a bit surprised that we are doing this in the middle of the game.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that we can do some live commentary.
Yeah, well, do you know what? It's actually quite interesting, because we're going to get a really nice insight into how a coach is going to approach this kind of situation. And you've heard what we've kind of said about the compositions, but what do you think of these 2 compositions that Diabolus and XL have run here?
I think a lot of this match was decided in something that happened on the very last second. That was how Diabolus and Excel were swapping both solo laners. And Ryze has a really advantageous matchup into Vladimir. So I think if Excel actually managed to put the Sion mid lane into the Urgot and the Ryze into the Vladimir, it was a really favorable draft for the red side. But I think Diabolus saved the situation with that swap that is going to allow them to scale really easier into the mid late game and probably find opportunities to fight on their power spikes.
That's a really interesting sort of opinion from that side of things. And Dan, I know you've got some questions about the Fnatic game coming up later. Yeah,
I was just wondering how you guys feel going into that game. And I'm guessing, obviously, you're hoping to make it into the finals. Which team do you think you'll end up against?
To be honest, I was expecting XL to win yesterday a bit easier than they did. Let's see how they react to it. So far, at the very beginning of the season, we thought that was going to be the stronger roster in UK apart from us. So I don't know so much the other teams still. I have seen very little from them because it's still like the very first week. So I will say if I have to bet, we are going to face XL in the next round after M&M.
Well, thank you very much, and I'm really looking forward to your game later on between Fnatic Rising and M&M. It's going to be really, really good, and I know you guys have looked super strong so far in the competition, so thank you so much for joining us here.
Thank you.
And nice little interview, and we get back in the game, and we missed nothing. So
We missed absolutely nothing, so don't worry about it, guys.
Out perfectly.
Yes, perfect interview timing. So as he said, you know, that was a pretty crucial part of the draft that was highlighted, that swap, and that's what you were talking about. You know, I guess they were looking to get Sendo on the rise versus Kerberos' Vladimir, but they just didn't quite manage to make that happen.
Yeah.
That's the trickiness. It's sort of like a game of chicken in the draft phase about who's going to swap the latest and how much you can get away with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the issue XL have is, I feel like XL personally, they would prefer to have on the rise. I feel like Diabolus, we're happy to have either Kroxin or Kerberos on either champion, but I get the feeling that XL wanted XL on the rise.
Yeah.
And so I felt like they were leaning towards that, and when they got switched at the end, they just decided to stick with it. The one small thing that we did miss was Taxa went for a gank bot lane, popped the Predators, but it was very good play from Houston, had her to back off, and essentially just dissuaded that pressure. So managed to neutralize that, and now Monk is heading over to start this Infernal Dragon, which is a big one to pick up early in the game. I wager that XL will know this is going on when the bot lane's gone missing, but not much you can do when Tax is on the top side. Yeah,
it was a really sneaky dragon there from Monkeys. He had the vision control to make sure he got it. Bot lane was pushed in so far that they couldn't react or even get to the Dragon Pit if they wanted to without losing lots of CS. And the only thing that I think might have given it away was that Kroxin was super defensive on his red side jungle entrance, and XL was just not pushing too far in that situation. So I guess they had some idea. And it looks like XL are going to respond by going straight for this blue buff, which is not the best. You know, I mean, it's adequate. It's getting something from the situation.
Yeah, it's a nice pickup. Fortunately, the next dragon is an Infernal, and I say fortunately because this gives XL an opportunity to equalize on that. First Infernal is very impactful. Gives 10% on AP and AD. So they very much want to contest and take that one. However, if Diabolus are able to secure the second one, that's when things get really messy. Yeah, especially knowing how well Yusa plays on this Xayah in the mid game with a double Infernal. That is going to be really, really hard for XL. Because XL, they rely on Inex to scale up here. They're relying on Inex to be one of the main carries in the late game. And you mentioned it when we were talking about the teams. You feel like Inex is one of the AD carries in this competition that he makes the game about him. Yeah, he will put the team on his back. And I feel like XL are liable to win or lose off him. But I think the bonus is to have XL on this rise, who is still going to be a big threat in the late game. So they're not completely dependent on Inax, but I think it's very much going to be coming down to whose carries can make more of an impact. I feel like that's a very XL thing. If you think back to Forge of Champions and EU Masters, a lot of it came down to Venza. Yeah. Like, Venza was XL's carrier, and the AD carry role for XL seems to be a pretty important part of the way that they operate in these compositions. I do think bringing someone like Exile in and having Special gives them a double threat, which they never really had that in their previous rosters. And I think that really helps XL out in general. Yeah, and we're actually seeing an engage coming here bot lane, but Monkeys is waiting. Oh, Mystiques has to flash away. They do get the stun onto Inax, who has to flash himself as well. Taxa moves over. I mean, Kroxin can go for a long range. Oh, he gets it! He gets it! Snipe! Absolute snipe and first blood. Wow! What a play from Kroxin. Just walks down, fires it in, picks off Inax, and it looked like a play that was an advantage for Diabolus, but nothing really came for it. But Kroxin just manages to make something out of nothing. Big play from him. I mean, I maybe overreacted. All he did was land a skill shot, and they had clear vision of where Kai'Sa was. But I think it was still pretty, but it was bloody cool. I mean, that was so cool. I mean, his ult always is so cool when he pulls them in. Like, you know you're doomed. There's not really much reaction unless you have like a defensive item. I think that also just XL have got almost no vision. Let's take a look at that again. I mean, there's not much color to be done here, Dan, but just have a look at this once more. Yeah, so XL actually lose out massively in this trade, burn a lot of summoners, and then they're backing off thinking, okay, we got out there, okay, the ult comes across, Inax hugging the wall, doesn't expect Kroxin to be there. Grind it up. Oh, goodness me. Love to see it on Valentine's Day. And that is exactly the kind of, stone cold killer. Kroxin is a stone cold killer. We're still in the game though, as it's going to be a forced ult from Taxa here. Yeah, Inax and Mystique's just backing off. Monkeys ulted into the Olaf's Ragnarok, which, if anyone wondering, isn't the optimal way to use a Lee Sin ult. But you know, their trade of ults isn't too bad. both junglers going to be a bit weaker for the next minute or so until those come available again.
Let's take a look at Vision, Orcs. XL look like they've been lacking vision around that Dragon Pit and that Dragon River area for pretty much the entire game here. I've really praised Diabolus in the amount of vision they've invested around that bottom side of the map.
Yeah, absolutely, and it paid off when they got the first Infernal. Next one's coming up in a minute 20. I want to see them get control of the area, because right now Tax is heading towards the top side, and you might think, yeah, you could trade the Herald for the second Infernal. I think that's too big a risk to take, because 2 Infernals, it completely changes the game on the heads in terms of scaling, especially when these teams have quite a bit of equality in scaling, but there are big threats like the Vladimir and the Xayah later on.
So despite the first blood, XL actually find themselves 200 gold ahead. I'm guessing this is mostly coming from the jungle CS difference, because everything else is pretty even across the board here.
I mean, I've clocked it even to me.
Oh, it was even. Now they just take it back.
It just went up to 200.
Yeah.
It's very close.
It's very close.
It's very close. I think slightly little differences will make a change here, but it's not too significant. But we have seen Taxi. He's in vision on the top side. So, I mean, this just means Monkeys can completely set up on that bot side Dragon. The assist ping you can see on the map has come out. There's going to be complete control from Diabolus over this Dragon area, and it feels like XL are essentially conceding control. Actually, no, sorry, it was an assist ping coming from XL, so they know they've conceded control. They know they need to get back in there, and it's important because I don't think you can afford to give over the second Dragon. No,
you can see here, it's XL moving down as well. This is a team fight that's going to be absolutely imperative. Did Mystic? I don't think he meant to flash over the wall there.
Yeah, I think he just cancelled it. Once you're in the channel, you just put it on spot. Looks like there will be a team fight here. They are going aggressive on the Crogston.
That's another ult coming out from Taxa. A lot of damage going on to Crogston as Yusa immediately takes the Lantern as well as burning his ultimate. That's actually a really good pushback from XL around that Dragon Pit, because this is such an important Dragon not to miss.
Yeah, I think crucially the fact they got the ult for Monkeys and Yusa, and if you actually, you can see on the UI that Vladimir uses ult off camera to try and kill Sendo, so I think Diabolus are lacking a bit too many crucial ultimates to make anything from this Dragon, and that's why Taxa feels confident to go for it. I'd be concerned about a steal, though. They cannot let Monkeys get in here. He has Flash, he has the Thresh Lantern. It should be very safe for him to look for a steal. Could be disastrous if he gets it.
He's going for it. He lands it. He doesn't quite get it as Alistair takes the Dragon and Monkeys goes down. You can't help but feel that was a bit of a misplay from both jungler ends.
Yeah, I mean, that's not the sort of thing you want to rely on your Alistair securing it. But either way, good play from XL to get it, and then also getting a kill off the back of that, which put them in a slight gold lead at this point.
Looks like Sendo's having a pretty solid time up against Kerberos in this lane right now. He's picked up a decent amount of magic resist. XL's going to move over with the ultimate to go again. Oh, that's awkward.
Yeah, that's a bit of a misplay from Taxa. Didn't get over the wall.
XL doesn't really have the mana here as well. It might be a forced smite coming up from Taxa.
Oh, and Crogston secures it as well.
That's rough.
Taxa has no ult. He could be dead here.
I think he might be. It looks like Crogston looking for his ultimate. He's going to get pulled in, and Yusa will end up getting the kill. Pings going down onto the bottom side of the map as it looks like Inax and Mystiques are rotating up. It is going to be the Rift Herald started by Diabolus, and Kerberos does not have his TP, so it is currently a 4-on-4 situation here.
Yeah, they're not expecting a contest, so it looks like they're not having Kerb here, but the fight's coming from XL.
They just need to secure the Rift Herald. They just need to secure that Rift Herald as XL starts to chunk that damage down. Huge damage as Inax jumps in. He gets the kill. Another one going over to him. He gets a double. However, it is going to be Rift Herald secured by Diabolus. 2 kills for that Rift Herald. They just need to make some kind of use of it.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't really say it's worth to lose 2 members for that Rift Herald, but at the end of the day, it depends what they can get from it. It was picked up by the Lee Sin. So we've got to see where Monkeys goes and makes use of that. But right now, it's looking a bit dicey. Inax on that big Storm Razor power spike, picking up some more turret plating here, crucially, and already far ahead of Yusa because of those 3 kills.
Yeah, turret plating is about to drop off, by the way. And then you can see just gets that last turret plating on the top before he ends up losing the ability to do so, and that's going to be a nice chunk of gold added into Inax's back pocket, and like you said, sitting on that Storm Razor, already picking up a decent amount of item spikes for himself. And they made that very early rotation too, because they wanted to rotate up to contest Rift Herald. They saw the minion wave pushing on the top side. They were like, screw it, let's just go and try and take that top lane tower. The response from Diabolus was good though, but XL have found themselves back in that driving seat and have now generated around a 2,000 gold lead in their favor.
Yeah, it's pretty significant, especially after them equalizing on the Infernal Dragons earlier. They're in a good position to keep this game going at the rate it is now. As of yet, nothing's really happened from Kerberos and this Vladimir. He's still scaling up, and yes, he's going to be a monster later on, but XL are starting to take advantages early, and he just hasn't had an impact.
So let's take stock. We're 15 minutes into the game. You talked about both of these teams' win conditions. Who is activating them the best right now?
I think Exa, I mean, you've got a lot of gold on this Xayah already. If she starts to get really fed and ahead of the curve without anyone to shut her down, she's going to be in a great position. We've seen Inax able to make clutch plays before, and if he can perform well on this AD carry, he can 1v5 against Diabolus, essentially. Yeah,
and Kerberos has really had a very quiet laning phase with Sendo going heavily investing in terms of defense there too. Gone for the Spirit Visage very early on. He's also going to likely pick up something like Mercury Treads. He might even go for Ninja Tabai. He is facing a lot of AD, but regardless, the Spirit Visage is enough to keep himself safe versus this Vladimir early on, so he's in a great position too. I do think this is all about Inax and his Kai'Sa at this point in time. 3-1. He's working towards the Ginsus as well.
Yeah.
And that'll be a huge item spike on top of what he's already got. And I think you said, you know, you don't want the Kai'Sa to get ahead of the curve. I feel like he is already slightly ahead of that curve.
Yeah, I mean, there's still going to be answers because, like I said, if Diabolus get good flanks, if they get backline access onto the Ryze or onto the Kai'Sa, they can win team fights. The problem is, if they're left pumping damage into the Olaf, Alistar, and Sion, they're just not going to win, ever. So they really need to find the best opportunities for team fights rather than just raw run at the front line, or they're going to find themselves short, essentially.
It's the first turret going down to XL on the top side of the map. He felt it was only a matter of time before that were the case. And Monk is now heading down towards the bot, as is Yusa and Hado. So they're going to try and put some pressure onto Sendo, as it feels like Kerberos is baiting them in. Rift Herald, a good usage of Rift Herald here. And actually, if they play this sensibly, they might even end up getting more than one. XL have reacted, though, and they are heading down to the bottom turret side. Yeah,
they should, oh, good ult time to get away from that hook. They should get the tower here, but it's only the one. And you actually see XL looking to collapse here. Ryze is coming in on the back of Olaf.
Got to be so careful, though, because it is the Kai'Sa who is quite far away from this team fight right now. She can ult in, remember, but it is a significant distance for her to cover at this point in time. Nice hook. He doesn't have the ultimate to go for it, and that is going to be lots of damage on Descender, who immediately gets blown up by the ultimate. That is a huge, huge mistake from Inax, who jumps right into the middle of the fight. But wait, Exile is still going. No one has touched this Ryze, and the damage he's putting out is enough to ward Diabolus back. Whew, that was insane.
Crucial misplay from Exile. Sendo stepping up too far for no reason, gets hooked in, and then the fear from Krogston was huge. I feel like he could have been more aggressive and flashed in, but fortunately, Inax did it for him, ulted right into that fear and died instantly. We talked about how important it was to get on this Kai'Sa. Well, Inax delivered himself on a plate to the Diabolus squad.
That really wasn't too much to do there for Diabolus.
We said it. We said Inax makes the game entirely about him. You win or lose on the back of him, and that team fight was very much lost on the back of him.
Let's take a look at that again, Dan.
Yeah, so we're going to see XL come in, but they're quite slow and hesitant. The issue is Sendo doesn't have his ult, otherwise he could just run them down and take them out. I feel at this point you have to accept you're not going to make the engage, but Sendo and Taxi just keep moving forwards, and this hook is where Sendo is doomed. He's caught in, and now Inax ults in at the worst time to get feared. Caught in the middle, everyone just dives on him, and there's nothing he can do. Sendo and XL do manage to get a kill back and make it not so bad, but still not a great situation, especially when you think about the bounty gold that was on the back of Inax.
Yeah, and I think it was Yusa picking up that bounty gold. There was 600 gold on the head of Inax, and that has allowed, I think, Yusa to pick up a significant amount of gold in himself. We are pretty close to Inax getting that Ginsus. He's also finished up his Berserker Greaves too, so we're not too far away from that second item spike on Inax's Kai'Sa, which will be very, very important for him coming into the next few team fights.
Yeah, the question I'll have to ask is, does he opt to go for defensive items sooner on? Because Kai'Sa after 2 items is always going to put out a lot of damage, and the question I'll be asking is, are you going to ensure your survivability? Because if Vlad flashes onto you, there's not really much you can do apart from die, unless you have defensives to give you some survivability.
Yeah, and the exhaust as well, something that we didn't see, but I think it was coming out from Krogston in that last team fight. Yeah, he did have it. He won't have it again anytime soon, but that was pretty... I don't even think he needed to use the exhaust, personally. I'm pretty sure Inax was just dead, but regardless...
I think he was just dead, but... I mean, they devoted everything on him, so he didn't essentially die. Maybe the team fight would have got a bit better if they spread their cooldowns out, but at the end of the day, when the Fed Kai'Sa jumps in your face, you're not going to hesitate.
No, you're just going to pop the exhaust, and especially when you're on that spellbook and you can just change it whenever you like to something else. Sendo taking a significant amount of damage here. Doesn't have the most armor in the world right now, so Yusa is putting out a lot of DPS with those basic attacks. Someone is going to have to go and react to Kerberos in the top lane, however, is starting to shove that top lane wave in.
Yeah, it's getting to the point where Vlad's in a great position. Level 9 is a good spike for Vlad when his Q is maxed. The shortened cooldown means there's a lot of survivability. But the further on the game he gets, it's going to get to the point where damage from a Scion is essentially negligible for him. You can't poke him on a lane. He's just going to heal up off you. It's not a fun lane to be in. I don't think it's a sort of like super split push you take every tower situation. But the Scion is going to have to respect the fact that if he leaves the lane alone, Vlad will just keep pushing.
Yeah, it's more of a nuisance for the Scion as the game progresses. You know that you're unlikely with the tankiness that you build to die outright to the Vladimir. But you also know you're never going to be able to push him back. And while Vladimir isn't going to chunk your towers down, he is going to shove waves incredibly quickly.
Absolutely.
And so he's always going to have that wave micromanaged and pushing into you. As you can see, pings coming out. I'm not sure that you want to gank the Vladimir as the Scion right now, though, with the Alistair.
That seems like a composition that lacks damage. So we'll see how it goes. He does have to use the ult. So, I mean, I'd take that. You got the ult for free, essentially. Yeah. That's a big cooldown. I understand wanting to use it early from Kerberos, because if you use it late, you don't use it in time to get the heal. But at the same time, you have burnt a massive teamfight ultimate. So Diabolus will have to wait for that before they really have any pressure. Slight advantage for XL. Is it anything to really talk about? No, but I did anyway, so sue me.
Yeah, we haven't really seen much in advance on that 2k gold lead that we saw earlier for XL. Maybe in part due to that pretty awkward team fight that happened in the bot side of the map for them. Things are kind of resolving into a 1-3-1 here, and my question is, does this benefit XL to go into a 1-3-1, especially when you've got the Rise? I mean, the Rise is getting strong, I guess. That's sort of the silver lining here.
I think the Rise is going to have the advantage. He shoves very fast into the Ergot. So I think that is one advantage of the 1-3-1. However, on the other side of the map, Vlad is pretty confident shoving into the Scion. So it's fairly balanced, I would say. It depends on how the players play it. I think Rise is the advantage because he has that Realm Warp.
Sure, you can react very quickly.
Yeah, and arguably, I guess, more kill pressure than the Vlad has, because I mean, Sendo really has to do something wrong to ever die to the Vladimir.
Yeah, and he has got the heal and exhaust in his spellbook selection right now too.
There was a very teamfight-based summoners, and we actually see the heal and the cleanse coming out from Krogson, so it looks like both teams are amping up. They expect a big team fight to come after this slight lull we've had. A lot of power spikes being hit across the board as well. We've seen the 2-item spike from Inax, 2-item spike from Yusa and Krogson. So these champions are gearing up and getting to the situation where they will pump out a lot of damage and be significant threats.
And then the more time you give this Kai'Sa, the scarier and scarier she's going to become. But let's not count out the scaling of Vladimir too. He's a really, really good late-game scaling mage that can influence teamfights very heavily. Yeah. Especially if you neglect to go defense.
I mean, as I've been saying, if you ult the Scion and the Olaf, not much is going to happen. But if you get a big ult combo onto the Kai'Sa and the Rise, that will win you the team fights, no matter what point in the game it's in. So that's what we're looking for. Can Kerberos find the flank or the backline access? And is Inax and XL able to survive?
Sterak's Gauge has been picked up for Sendo here. What do you make of Sterak's Gauge on Scion? Because it's not something that I see too often.
Yeah, I mean, it helps with his abilities damage. It scales quite nicely. I think the crucial thing is raw HP is pretty nice against Vladimir, and I guess it gives that burst survivability. You are never really going to die against Vladimir with that, even more so. And I think I would have liked to see maybe something a bit more defensive to facilitate his team. But, I mean, the problem is, Scion's always going to be tanky. I don't think you're very limited to choice, and I don't think Sterak's exactly a bad item.
No.
Maybe something like the Righteous Glory could help slow people down in the team fights. I mean, that's the thing is that
it gives you another engage tool as well that you don't need to rely on your ultimate for. That's why I like Righteous Glory.
And I think crucially as well, it can be used defensively as well. If Vlad's trying to run at your team, you Righteous Glory, you get over to him, he's now slowed. The thing is, Vlad's great against hard CC because you can pool it, but against like soft slows, you're kind of wasting your pool if you have to use it on a Righteous Glory slow.
Pushing into this mid lane here, the hook does not land, but there is a rotation coming out from every member of Diabolus. Kerberos is just going to back off. I think he was spotted out by that Pixel Brush control ward, and that causes XL to relinquish their attack as the next dragon is due to spawn. I think it is going to be a Mountain Drake as well. Yeah. That's actually a fairly important one.
Mountain Dragon will be crucial. It completely changes how quickly you can pick up those objectives, especially when you look at XL's composition. You have this tanky Scion. If they get that Mountain, a 2-man Baron will not only be viable, it'll be very fast between Inax and, say, either the Olaf or the Scion. So I think both teams will want to contest this, but good moves from XL. They move over the Dragon area, drag Diabolus there. And now trying to get some control, but the fight's kicked off.
That's the Sterax coming through for Sendo here. No one touching Inax, but Krogson, or rather Kerberos, going for the flank with the backside. He's looking for the big pull. He only gets it onto Exile. No, actually Inax is picked up too, but he can't combo off it. In the meantime, though, Sendo absolutely crushed on that front line as XL were too busy getting zoned away by Kerberos on that Vladimir. And that is the power of a Vladimir in these team fights.
I mean, yeah, Kerberos didn't really massively do anything, but his ult was so much zoning potential. Oh, still see more fights here. NX is going in. That
was the ultimate save there by NX. There's another teleport coming through from Krogson, maybe looking to rewind this fight up. As he goes in, he flips onto Inax. Inax is forced to back away. Lots of damage coming down as the ultimate maybe looking to get onto Taxa. The Dragon is still going. The stopwatch comes out. Kerberos pooling on the front line. Exile gets the snipe, but the Dragon goes over to Monkeys, and Exile's on a roll now. That's a huge amount of damage. He's going to look to clean up on this rise as Inax comes and gets the final blow. It may have gone the wrong way for XL, but they find the right path at the end.
Yeah, and Sion is TPing in. They're going to look for this Baron right now. Even without their jungler, they are not concerned. Wow. Monkeys is still alive, though. He could come over and try and contest this. But I think Mystique's going to play one in there.
I mean, XL put that entire fight on his back, and you're right, that is a huge amount of damage. This is just what a Kai'Sa can do. Shreds through the Baron, immediately get it. What a big objective swing now for XL.
Yeah, absolutely, and just great performance from them. It looked like they were going to back off in the team fight. We'll see that Inax, XL, and Mystiques all went aggressive. And the thing is, Krogson felt so confident here, but crucially, Inax still had his flash, and his team were too far away to follow up. Flashes the Sonic Wave just, and then Yusa goes in, but doesn't find anything, and now Yusa and Kerberos are very exposed. And look, XL is full HP, still has his flash. As soon as he gets this route onto Kerberos after the pool, he's just a sit and duck, and crucially stays out of range, so the empowered heal can't come out. Kerberos falls down. Now look, a level 15 Rise against a level 12 Xayah. This is not a fun time at all. Krogson and Monkeys are too focused on the Dragon to come over and help, and now it's just easy for Exile to clean up.
Yeah, Inax gets that final shot, as well as I think that stopwatch timing from Taxa, it bought so much time for XL around that Dragon Pit. This has been an incredibly close game, but XL now find themselves in an absolutely steamroller position. Exile has been monstrous on this rise, and this Baron minion wave coming through. Kerberos unlikely to be able to defend easily against Rise in this situation.
I mean, that's the thing, is that Vlad is a monster in the late game in terms of team fighting. But in terms of split push, Rise will outperform and he'll shove faster, and Kerberos is behind compared to Exile, so he won't be able to do much to contest this. They're sending Krogson down in return, but a level 16 Rise against a level 14 Urgot isn't a great situation to be put in.
Here we go as XL move up towards the top side of the map now. Every lane applying pressure with that Baron buff. It is the Baron power play that we like to talk about. They've got 2 turrets off the back of it so far, one from Rise and one from that shove in the mid. I think they're in a significant enough position right now to be looking to end the game in a relatively short amount of time.
I think they need to take it slow here. There is still the threat if you overstep. Vlad and Vlad's flanking potential is going to punish, especially when Inax has no flash and when Rise is on the other side of the map. However, they can definitely push for advantages off this. And looking for this Rise, but I don't think Exile's too phased.
He's just 1v2ing. He's so big right now, Exile. Has plenty of damage, actually got the Void Staff, plenty of raw penetration with the boots too coming through. Just absolutely chunking through any magic resist, as well as the little bit that you can see, or quite a large amount coming out from the Urgot in the mid lane. And Sendo just so tanky as well. Oh, going on to Kerberos with the Ignite there. Kerberos does manage to survive.
But he's not going to have to back off. He's too unhealthy to be able to heal off the wave. And crucially, this is the thing, there hasn't been that much pressure from Kerberos. And yes, his champion scales well, but he just hasn't found the opportunity to. Exile now potentially sold out Krogson. Flash has been used, so he's trying to get out.
He gets out with the ultimate. That was such a nicely placed ultimate as the ultimate comes through from Vladimir. That's a big team fight ultimate that is now gone as Hado starts to become the target. Inax goes right into the fray. Doesn't manage to get the kill, but it is enough pressure to result in 2 inhibitors for XL.
Yeah, good restraint from XL. They could definitely have overcommitted and got punished there, but they take the advantages. They're now 9k gold ahead, and in a minute 20, another Infernal is respawning. They're in a great position for this game, and it's going to now be a last desperation ditch effort from Diabolus if they're going to try and get back into this.
They're going to try and catch out some of the backs here, but Sendo and Taxa should be able to escape through the blast cone. They'll see that control ward and should be able to take that down too. But like you said, massive power play for XL off the back of that Baron. and you feel like it is only now a matter of time before they're able to shove down that final lane, get the turrets and get the inhibitor, with all of that pressure coming from the 2 side lanes, or the mid lane and the bot lane now, due to those inhibitors going down.
Yeah, I think it might be difficult to try and wait for them to push in the base. I think you're not really going to find an opportunity to fight when there's waves of super minions pushing in. So I think Diabolus should take this opportunity, try and get a sneaky deep ward, and look for a TP flank from Kerberos. It's coming up soon. You know they're going to want to take this Infernal Dragon. This is your last-ditch effort to get back into the game. If you get a good flank onto the carries, I'm not saying it's necessarily going to work, but it's your best chance.
XL taking their time as that's
Gage
going to be...
is coming in.
Here we go. That's Sendo looking to catch someone out. Forces the flank. That is going to be the big engage coming out from Mystiques as they catch out Crogston, who takes a huge amount of damage. And they're now going to start to focus down onto Hado as Inax jumps into the back line. Can't quite get onto Yusa and flashes forward to be aggressive, but that is 2 for nothing, and Diabolus know that they cannot react to that situation. Taxa maybe a little bit overextended as Inax is going to be forced to move back towards this teamfight situation. Sendo just buying time, finding those opportunities, keeping them from backing as he knows XL are going for the jugular. They're looking for that final set of kills to help them win out the game.
Yeah, we'll get the knock-up onto Kerberos. Not much you can do from here. XL have enough of a numbers advantage. I think they can just push for the end right now.
Oh, Sendo!
Sendo's not letting it happen. And then these 2 tankers to take down, buying so much time. A frustrating situation to be in. I doubt he's even going to die towards the end. They can give it an effort, but XL gonna finish this game off. And crucially, they didn't even give Diabolus the opportunity to look for the flank. They picked the engage, they took the opportunity, and they will take this game.
Absolutely right, Orcs. XL are going to dispatch Diabolus in 31 minutes and 23 seconds. The Nexus explodes, and they will find themselves in our final, which will be the 3rd game of this evening of the UKLC. We do have another semi-final to go, though. It is going to be Fnatic taking on M&M, but we'll get to that in a second. What is it that went so right for XL that game?
I think just crucially the way they played team fights. XL was untouched for so long, and he's going to be our MVP, understandably.
Yeah.
He had a massive performance on that Rise, and I think Inax made some mistakes, but he wasn't really the threat early on, but that Rise was just untouched. And we talked about how we needed Diabolus to find the backline access. They didn't until it was at the point where even if they did, the Rise was just too strong to shut down. XL just came up huge, and I mean, that's why they won.
Yeah, we did hear from the Fnatic coach saying earlier that he believed XL would be the team that he'd be facing in the finals with his roster.
Right.
And he was right, even though he felt that just off draft, Diabolus had a small advantage in that lane matchup. XL's Rise is just too good, and they looked super strong. And as Dan said, he will be our MVP with a 10-0 KDA. Absolute monster this game for XL.
He's Smith, and maybe we'll see him in the LEC one day.
I think, you know, he could find his way back.
Back? Oh,
yeah, he's been there.
Wow.
He's been there.
Yeah, didn't know that.
Who knew taking an LEC mid laner and putting them in the UKLC would result in some good things for XL coming into this week?
Well, don't you know about that?
What a better way to spend Valentine's with the dulcet tones of Scoundrel and Orcs cast as they cast the UKLC. Hitbrain is there too. Thank you, Medic. Medic, if you don't know, is our treasured UK caster along with
Your
Vedius.
original Valentines.
My original Valentine's partner has always been Medic, but unfortunately he's found Vedius in the LEC now, and I bless that relationship. I've got you. Come here. I bless that relationship just like me and Orcs. We're very happy too. I'm sorry, Orcs' girlfriend. Right, we are going to jump to a quick break, and when we're back, we'll be diving into Fnatic versus M&M in our 2nd semi-final of the night. Don't go anywhere.